Welcome, BOMA New York listeners, to CRE Pulse. Today is our inaugural podcast. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, and today we will be interviewing Mr. Pat Dolan, our current BOMA New York chairman, and Sharon Hart-Fanelli, our forthcoming New York chairlady for 26 and 27. This podcast is sponsored by CHCO Inc., a family-owned second-generation exterior contractor specializing in exterior restoration, roofing, and concrete. Happy to have you guys here, and let's open up with Pat. And Pat, would love for you to hone in on your tenure as BOMA New York chairman, things you focused on, accomplishments, advocacy, and how do you like to segue that to Sharon? Any suggestions, recommendations for her and her forthcoming tenure in 2026-27?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. This is an awesome event, so congratulations. I think during my tenure as chair of BOMA New York, things that I really focused on was our Emerging Leaders Program. I have a deep affinity for this program. I think that helping our future leadership in this industry is a key responsibility that we take on. We also launched our mentoring program, a program that took longer than it should have, but unfortunately. But in fact, we had two emerging leaders who took the bull by the horns and launched our mentoring program, which I would say right now is very successful. And we're pairing up great mentors with fabulous mentees. So that has been a great accomplishment. One thing that we also looked at, the lifeblood of BOMA New York is its committees. So we took a look at how the committees were doing, their mission statements, and if they didn't have one, we asked them to create one. And in some cases, we kind of retooled the leadership of some of these committees. And I think all of us are very, very proud and very happy with the direction of how the committees are working right now. One of the other accomplishments I think that we really take a lot of pride in is the resurgence of Skyscrapers for Life, which is a program that existed really in the 90s. And for whatever the reason, it kind of just went away. And this was a simple hosting blood drives in your buildings, working with your tenants to bring tenants down into some space that you have available and have blood donations in these buildings. It's very easy for a tenant to go to work, jump on a floor, do their blood donation, and the impact has been phenomenal. So we partnered up with the New York Blood Center, and we are having phenomenal success, and we have quite a few member firms who participate, and we're hoping to have more in the coming future. So those are some of the areas that I've really focused on, professional development especially. But as you start to get things up and running, you realize you need to focus on some other things. And we kind of pivoted towards advocacy in the latter part of my tenure. So I would say right now we are knee deep in advocacy. And this is really due to things that the city may be doing or not doing. As you probably know, we're having issues with elevator acceptance with the DOB. So we really felt that that BOMA New York and partnering with the Real Estate Board of New York, REBNY, we were able to work together along with other stakeholders to get third-party inspectors to be permitted by the DOB to do elevator acceptance. So this has been very helpful to a lot of our member firms who have a lot of deals riding on delivering services within our buildings. So that was very important. And the other thing that we're working with the city and other stakeholders is some of the environmental work, really asbestos abatement, in the sense that we have two city agencies, the DOB and the DEP, are tasked with working together. And sometimes that doesn't work out too well for us. So we've met with them down at City Hall, and we try to make them understand in I thought, very straightforward economic terms what this means when we don't get this space delivered. If I don't get a space that's abated and ready for construction, we're not hiring architects, we're not hiring engineers, we're not hiring a construction management firm, union carpenters and plumbers and steam fitters and so on. Buying building supplies, we're not getting tenants into the space. who are buying goods and services locally. So as you can see, this has a big trickle down, and we actually got their attention on that one when we kind of laid it out that way. So these are the things that I think are currently happening right now in my tenure. My tenure will be up in December 31, and the things that will start to carry forward on Sharon's watch. So, and the great thing about the officers, we work together very closely. We were always building consensus, and it's very transparent on what the agenda is. So everybody's kind of looped into what's happening. We communicate all the time, and I've had the good fortune to work with Sharon now for quite a few years. So she'll be a terrific chairman.
So what I'd like to say is, Pat, last week I heard you speak at a charity event, and the phrase learn, earn, return. Now that ties into everything you just said here, and I'd like to make the theme of this podcast.
Sure.
Great. So just to summarize what you said, so the learning portion, the mentee mentor program, right? So it's also simultaneously return, right? So learning and returning. And then obviously, earning as you earn tenure in your career, in your prestige, as to the position you hold. You all are veterans in the commercial real estate industry, which is why we're focused in on interviewing you all, ultimately connected back to our listeners. Professional development. What's the value of BOMA? What's the value of what it is that you all do as chairs? So you just touched upon all that. Segue to Sharon and everything Pat said, but now more so focused on your endeavor as the forthcoming chair lady from 26-27. Speak on that.
Well, the foundation is strong and solid. So I'm very fortunate to come into a program. As Pat said, we've worked together for many, many years. This is a process. This is quite a commitment. We have, when you come up onto the executive board, it is 2 years in each position. And so it's a decade of time commitment, volunteer time commitment, but it also provides a continuity and a foundation for the group to be successful and to build upon. So much of what Pat, we all share those exact same goals. We share the advocacy, we share the professional development, we share the emerging leaders and the mentorship. But we know, because we've had the experiences in our own careers, we know how valuable each part of that is and what BOMA has played a huge role for us as well in achieving what we have today. When you're talking about the and the learn, earn, and give back, return, for earning, it's not just about career growth. It's earning the respect and cooperation of your friends and colleagues. It's earning different experiences you can earn in different ways. And so it's not always monetary. It's not always monetized. And it's just success, and it's however that's defined for you. So I do believe that we are fully capable of just going gangbusters with these new committees that we've really redeveloped. Advocacy we had for a long time, and now having advocacy back in the forefront, and the person who's going to chair that, Laura, is phenomenal. Has done that also in the past. So I think we'll continue that, and I think that'll go. So I think the BOMA really affords that. It certainly did for me, and I'm very grateful for that. And I think it affords that for a lot of the individuals that are coming into our organization.
So I think it's important for those listeners and BOMA members to understand this doesn't happen overnight.
No, does not.
It's true. It's a journey.
It's a journey. The chair path is a 10-year venture. The career path, decades in the making, right? So it's not going to happen from one day to the other. And then to your point about earning, well, you earn your network. You earn the respect of your colleagues and peers. And that takes time. And that also takes showing up, participating.
Commitment. It's a big commitment.
Yes. So here's a question. Pitfalls, failures, lessons learned. What would you say your career, if you had to hone in on one thing, Sharon, what would that be?
Not being able to ask for help. And when I was younger and being female in a very male dominated industry, I can remember being fairly intimidated to really raise my hand and to say, hey, wait a minute, you know what? I don't understand this. Can we go back? Go back for a moment. I would wait to the end and then pull aside. But as I grew and as I became more, and it became obvious that I needed to do so, I certainly learned that it was absolutely okay to raise my hand and to say, wait a minute. And in fact, there were several people in the room that didn't know either. They were just faking it until they made it, so to speak. So I am glad that I learned that because that was an early pitfall. That was early on. And I really struggled with that and finally got to the point where I was confident to really make sure that if I didn't understand something, I researched it, I asked, I partnered with our vendors or with our contractors so that I could understand. Because ultimately, most people who go into a job want to do it well. And we're here to provide a service. We're in a service business. We want to do the right thing by our owners, by our clients, by our tenants. Those are the goals, and that will help you get there.
We'd love to thank Marks Realty for providing this phenomenal space for the podcast. Once again, Marks Realty, thank you so much. Curiosity, humility, ability to ask questions, partnering, networking with your contractors, identifying, collaboration portion.
One thing I would add is resilience,
Yeah, and resilience.
because things don't always go your way. You might have this great idea that your owner doesn't agree with, or you try to do something with a tenant that they didn't really bite, and you feel really let down, and you have to develop the resilience that I can come back tomorrow and fight another day and not miss a step. And it's I think that is a skill that takes some time to kind of hone a little bit. So yeah.
Adaptability, flexibility, grit. These are all different words in that realm. If you fall down, get back up, try again.
Absolutely. It's going to happen. We joked earlier, the best laid plans. It does not always happen as intended, despite your best intentions and preparedness. There are things that we cannot control. We're in a human-centric business. Humans are unpredictable. And so things happen. Things happen with weather. Things happen with people. Things happen with health. Things happen on the street. People, wind equipment, all the rest. All these things happen, and they happen to our buildings and in our industry. And we then have to address that.
Certainly the day-to-day black swan events, but segue into COVID and the building occupancy, let's call it, concerns we have in New York City as it comes to commercial real estate. Pat, please elaborate on that. What have you done during your tenure as chairman and advocate? Because this is also a species of advocacy for getting people back into the office.
We're constantly the cheerleader for getting people back in the office. So we think it's vital to not only our industry, but also for our tenants that their employees are coming to a place that is our buildings and collaborating and working together to do whatever they do in business. And we feel that the office environment is the best place to do that. Now, I realize that office space and the design of space evolves every few years, and how people want it to look and how it should be designed, and that's fine. We know that many of our landlords over the last few years have invested quite a considerable amount of money in amenities and hospitality, trying to get people back into a building that has an amazing environment, whether it's game rooms, conferencing, cafes. There's all sorts of things that many landlords have tried. I mean, look at this space here. They have an amazing podcast studio. This is amazing. So those are the things that we have really focused on, and to ensure that we have safe buildings. I know that during the pandemic, so many of our tenants were concerned about air quality, indoor air quality within the building. Was there enough outside air coming in? Was the filtration like? So, I was fortunate in my building where we had really state-of-the-art stuff as it relates to that. But I know that many of our other buildings within my company, we spent quite a bit of money making sure that we could have the best filtration. And I know our other member firms did similar things. So to kind of always portray that our buildings are safe to be in, the best place for you to collaborate, and this is what commercial real estate can offer you. So, yeah,
So in summary, COVID happened.
COVID happened. It's over. Get back to work.
It's over, get back to work. That's it.
It did. It was a paradigm shift, though. I mean, people weren't out for a month. People were out for 2 years. So I think it allowed a little bit on my space where I deal with the occupier. It gave us more ability to talk to the owners about thinking of real estate as a culture, the real estate that they have to enhance their culture rather than just seats and desks. It actually gave us a unique opportunity to do that. But it is really important to get people back into the office and to have that collaboration. Flexibility is fine. I mean, we probably should have had that more so than we did. New York, I think, is atypical in that. I bet you the rest of the country had a lot more flexibility than we did. We tend to be that A-type, get it done New Yorkers 24/7. I suspect that is the nature of the beast because we're here in New York City. So I think it did shift that, but it's important to the local economy. It's important for the goods and services that are provided there, and for all the labor. We have union labor. It's a whole ecosystem that is important to support, and so it is a message we're trying to truly get out there.
Well, with that being said, Sharon, segue to Pat, and Pat, your phrasing, mayor of a small town, community focus. If you can dive more into that and how that trickles through our industry here in the city.
If I look at a building like my own, One World Trade Center, right, where you have potentially close to 10,000 occupants, it's a small town. I mean, and everybody has a different gripe, a different problem, a different need. Always something that we're looking to address with them, as well as bringing in, on average, close to 4,000 visitors a week. Plus, we have the observatory that's constantly has a transient population. So you have a lot of demand on providing good, accurate security, cleaning services, HVAC services, just making sure that the building is pristine at all time, good elevator service. We have a pretty robust elevator contract because we have so many people using these elevators, 71 elevators in this building. So you really are interacting with a large, we call it a building community, right? So the building community is fairly vast, and all of them have different needs. They need you to help solve problems. So that's where you really are. You're like a mayor of a small town, administering this building that is, your small town, and doing things like cleaning and pulling out garbage to more complex issues, right? Helping them. What's the best way to perform construction in this space? We do a lot of build-to-suit work for them. So we provide a lot of different services, but it's very, very interesting how they all have different needs and requirements. So it keeps you on your toes, and it's one of the great things about the job. You're constantly dealing with people, and that's a great thing.
I think what's important there really for our listeners is the fact that this isn't just a job. It's more of a calling. Mayor of a small town, I mean, you're taking it, yeah, it's business, but you're taking it personally. And you're taking ownership for an entire community of people, an entire asset, a budget. It's a massive endeavor.
Yeah, you're responsible for the asset financially. You're responsible for the success of the asset, that people feel like it's a great place for them to do business, a great place for them to visit. It's a safe place. You have good, qualified, professional people working on your team to support this mission, because it is a mission to run these big, large, complex buildings. So it's fabulous. I think it's great work. And in my experience, people who get into this work got into it almost by accident. And a lot, I haven't met too many people who grew up, went to school, and said, "I want to be a property manager in New York City." It just doesn't really go that way. They go to school for different things. They have in their mind, a different path, but somehow, some way, they got put into this. And I think the vast majority of our colleagues love what they do. It's great. It's a great job. It's a profession. I always like to say this is a profession, but it's a great one.
Our young listeners should pay attention to that. Again, it's not just a job. It's a profession, almost a calling.
And that's what I hit with the emerging leaders. This is, in the learn portion of our learn, earn, return, learning the skill sets, gaining the knowledge, building your network so you can thrive in this profession. Because if you have those three tools, you're going to be successful.
Go to the stars. You really will.
You'll start to earn.
Yes, exactly. In every way.
In every way, not just financially. You'll enjoy the success and all the things that success brings you. Ultimately, the best part, I think, is the respect of your colleagues. That's one of the great things to earn.
100%. Segue to the education portion as you learn. And so, Sharon, if you could touch on your learning path and your path through BOMA and the various cities that you played and worked in coming up to New York.
I was really fortunate because when I started, I worked for an owner that said, "Oh, you're new? Get over to BOMA. Have your education." And so I enrolled, I went through the process, just made fantastic friends along the way. We were all studying with the same spirit and the same goal, sometimes faster or slower, depending on what was going on in the budget season and all those things. And that was back in Atlanta. That was back in the day back in Atlanta. Then I spent some time in Dallas, Texas. And I actually came to New York on a temporary assignment, but I knew from the moment I got here that I was staying. So I had to redirect, but of course, luckily BOMA was there, got involved, and again, created that network of folks and off to the races. A home run ever since then.
Talk to me about timing, right? So I think it's important, again, to hone in on for our listeners how long it actually takes. Again, it's not an overnight thing, getting your learn curve. So how long did it take for you?
Just 30 years. And it took me until I felt as I was proficiently running challenging buildings, it took at least 12, 15 years to really say that, hey, I got to the point where I knew what I didn't know. And that was almost the turning point. And when you know what you don't know, then you can educate yourself and then you can go even further. And always looking for new opportunities and different types of real estate, different types of challenges within our industry. Don't be afraid of that. That's what I would tell the young folks. Go to a different property type. I have gone to the most fancy sites and I have had owners in the most challenging situations. They've all been rewarding in different ways. And you know what? I've learned a lot and I've learned how to be creative with a budget that maybe wasn't as lucrative as an owner that had a very high-end budget on some of the properties that we are on now. Those owners are fairly substantial in what they can provide for those properties, but I've done the receivership properties as well. And you will always learn. So I always tell the folks that are coming in for our mentoring program, don't be afraid of a different location or a different opportunity. It's okay. And you have to see the value of what you'll learn and you'll take away. And it will just add to your entire experience.
That's a great point. Great point. Just makes them more experienced, gives them more skill sets.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just to hone in on that, I'd like to hear from Pat now. So if you can share just specific to your come up, let's say, and your learn curve, BOMA affiliation, how you got to today.
So I would say coming into the building business where I was fairly solid was in the nuts and bolts of buildings. I had a construction background, I had an engineering background. So the thing that kind of terrified me a little bit was the business side of the industry. And I think for me, BOMA played a big part for me to get my RPA designation. So it probably took me probably 5 years, at that time to finish up all the various courses. A few threats from my boss at Performance Time. Tom Hill, giving you a shout out. Thank you for doing that. Old school. But I think that once the business side kind of clicked for me, there was a new energy for me where I just ran with this. I just loved it. And the harder the assignment, the happier I was. I just really loved a building that was complex, that had I'll use the term, a very strong operational tempo. There's always things going on in the building. And I think when you get to work as you gain experience and people are more comfortable with your skill set to put you in buildings that are larger in square footage, that operational tempo is it's just a natural thing. It's happening in these buildings. So there's always something going on, and a lot of it, and it's going by quickly. So it was really, really good. I got to work in the General Motors building twice. I'm at One World Trade Center now. The things that I get involved with are just phenomenal. I look and I say, wow, I can't believe I get the opportunity to do this. Mm-hmm. But I really felt by me knowing the infrastructure of buildings and how they work, and then learning the business side, the accounting side, the financial side, learning how to read a lease, learning how to, where to find a lease abstract, all these type of things, kind of all tied it together for me. And I never looked back. It was great.
So what I'm hearing is the fact that you start off not knowing much, you learn, and eventually came to these tremendous properties to start to earn, right? And segue to return.
Return, yeah. The return is a big piece. I mean, you've enjoyed the success. Hopefully you're earning a good buck or two, but you have respect of your peers. You have respect in the industry. You've gained all this knowledge. I really feel strongly it's imperative that you give that back to the industry. Somebody did that for you. You didn't get to where you are without someone's help. If anybody says that, I'm sorry, I'm just going to disagree very strongly. Somebody helped you get to where you are. So you need to remember that, and you need to give a lot of consideration about giving your time back to helping the next generation come up. It's in our interest. It's really, I have a son who's 30, 31, I guess he is these days. Oh my goodness, I better check that birthday. He's in this industry, and he's a property manager now. And selfishly, I want to see this industry flourish because I want to see him do well, and all of his contemporaries. And I want to see the next generation who I've gotten to know personally and professionally through emerging leaders. These are some phenomenal, phenomenal young people who really want to do good work. And BOMA New York, I think, has done a great job at exposing them to a lot of different things. So that's what I hope to continue, and it's my hope that Sharon continues that as well, and I think she will. And that's really what BOMA New York needs to do. It really needs to provide a resource for people in the industry to learn more and gain more experience and open up their eyes to other things that are happening within the industry.
Let's bring it home. Learn, earn, return. You can learn through BOMA, earn the network, earn the respect, earn the bucks, and then return the favor through the various organizations and associations around the city. Sharon, what would you leave for our listeners from the learn, earn, return perspective?
I think as we spoke before, it is a journey. And I think that for the listeners, embrace that journey. Embrace every aspect of the journey. It is a wonderful, wonderful career. And I think if you embrace it and you love it, you're gonna leave nothing on the table. You will go so far. And so that would be my advice to a young person.
Thank you. So, as a typical podcast, and we are an atypical podcast, but typical podcasts like to do a speed round to finish up. And so we're going to do that. I have a couple questions for you. And so one-word answers or short phrases. Sharon, what's your favorite book?
2, Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand. And I recently read Better Than Ever, New York's Big Comeback by Dan Doctorow. And phenomenal story of New York and our infrastructure from like 2017 on. Really incredible New York-centric book.
With all due respect, Ayn Rand says a lot about your perspective. And then also the latter book also speaks on your perspective. So we got to know you really well today, Sharon. Pat, what's your favorite book?
So I don't want to quote a business book or anything like that. I really love historical fiction. And over the last few years, I got to a good friend of mine from the Marine Corps turn me on to the Century Trilogy by Ken Follett. And I thought it was fabulous, fabulous work. Starts off, it's 3 books, obviously a trilogy. Starts off pre-World War One, takes us through that period of time, post-World War One, all of World War Two, and into the Cold War, the Berlin Wall, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Civil Rights Movement. And the interesting thing about it is there's a Russian family, a German family, a British family, an American family, and how all their descendants are in this story. And it's just been, I would have agreed with my my good friend Matt Duthie at one time that Trinity was my favorite book, but I have to say that this was amazing reading. So that's my pick.
And I could vouch that, Pat, you do love that book and that series because the very first conversation we had was regarding reading. So you're avid.
An avid reader.
Correct. All right. Last question. Sharon, what all time is your favorite building that you were involved with?
Absolutely, 51 Madison. It's a historic landmark building. Incredible use of collecting the old and the new to make it modern and to make it usable, and just class A building all the way around. Really phenomenal.
Pat?
Well, I've had some amazing assignments in my career, but I have to go with One World Trade Center. It is just a special place. It's a place where we remember the past, but now we're very focused on the future. And to balance the two is always interesting, but it is a phenomenal place. My colleagues and I, we know what happened there. We know that it's an amazing building. We know it can be a successful place for all of our tenants, and we work hard every day to provide that, hopefully that experience for them. So I have to say, just, no matter where I am in the 5 boroughs, driving Long Island, driving to Jersey, I'm going to see that building in the skyline, and it kind of gets me choked up. It's really a really special place. Very funny too. I was flying out of New York and into New York, and I was reaching out to our vendor who washes our windows, Upgrade Services. I said, Billy, this building looks so clean. It's fantastic. You guys are doing a great job. The building was shining. The sun was just hitting on it in a certain way, and it just filled me with so much pride. So One World Trade Center is my pick.
Well, thank you and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I'll leave you guys with this. It's corny, but it's a phrase. Readers are leaders. And obviously, in this business, if you earn to return, you'll have the amazing opportunity to work and partake in amazing operation.
That's true.
So with that being said, Pat Dolan, thank you. Sharon Hart-Fanelli, thank you.
Thank you very much.
This was wonderful.
Pleasure. I'm your host, Christian Gonzalez, CRE Pulse, BOMA New York City, signing off.